The human eye is a sphere of waters and tissue, absorbs an energy that has come 93 million miles from another sphere, the sun. It may be said that the eye is the sun in another form. It is part of a spectrum of receptors, and if we could only see more widely, the night sky would be brighter than the moon. Matter, smaller than the shortest wavelength of light, cannot be seen. Pressure on the surface of the eye makes vision, though what these same pressures focus to, the radial inwardness of a dragonfly in flight, is unimaginable. Through pressure also, the head over heels is crossed right side up, in eye as camera. The front of the eye is a convex glass, alive, and light bent through its curve strikes a lens. This lens is behind an iris, pushing it into the shape of a volcano. In light, the iris appears as a rayed core of color, its center whole, dilating dark to day, transformed instantly into what our twinned inner hemispheres call sight. The retina itself seeks equilibrium. Though to look at the sun directly causes blindness, sight is an infinitely precise tip of branched energy that has made it possible to measure the charge of a solar storm or to calculate nova. It is possible that all the universe is the similar form. No one knows the first person to stare long at a waterfall, then shift their gaze to the cliff face at its side, to find the rocks at once flow upward. But we have always known the eye to be unsleeping. We have always known all people are lidless visionaries through the night. Mind and eye are a logarithmic spiral form called coiled form periphery, a spiral sweep, a biological form which combines, as do galaxies, economy with beauty. People have found cells sensitive to light in the hearts of snails. The human lens grows fatter for looking across a prairie, and the sparrow is able to see the seed beneath its bill, and at the same instant, the hawk descending. A cat watches the sparrow at the end of the world in a furred luminosity of infrareds, enormous purples. After a long time of light, there began to be eyes, and light began looking at itself. At the exact moment of death, the pupils dilate full width. burial, unmarked grave, land yearning towards bosque. What's under map.app? Freeway, a border wall, spiritual sickness, land yearning, the land that feeds us, weaponized infrastructure. I cleanse my eyes, the past is everywhere. I cleanse my eyes to the future too. Underneath Simpson, an arroyo filled with another century's trash. Screen prints of sky también. Shadows are maps of a kind. Tell me, who gets a horizon? Who? Freeway ever higher, river ever lower. Imagine just what we'll do with the freeways once they are obsolete. City built for cars, river under bridge, Tucson's big dreams, broken promises, depending upon your map. Main Avenue connects El Presidio to Mexico City, Tucson to New Orleans, cousin cities. La Pelita to Mission Garden to San Javier District. With the way the map is drawn, tells you who it is for, what it can do, what it can't, who financed the A, sigil stamped on Sentinel, parking lot glyph, irreality, a blankness, silent, non-canvas, y NoVoGRAFíAS. I wake up and write down the dream. A group of us in a city we could no longer recognize. Lost. A group of us walking from 6th and 6th back to Viejo, where I had forgotten my boots. Late for a gig, guided by graffiti. What we remembered from the late 90s, we turned left at Lips, around and down the old ramp, right underneath fuck gentrification. Below the train tracks, through the cloud of weed smoke, right by the logical extent is communism. And everyone was a communist, insofar as everyone wanted everyone to have everything in common. Someone said, I don't even know how to make it home anymore. And that was a poem / despair, all gleam and no grit, all construction and no maintenance. Look, every city in this state is hollow. There are sinkholes in Tombstone where the ore was. 2,000 miles of mines in Bisbee. Drainage and trade in Nogales, but Tucson too. The cemented arroyo where the assistant principal would go looking for our lost students under their living, where it is so easy to be lost in a city, thin crust thin, over the hollow within, neighbors living in tents, in the shadow of a road expansion costing $100 million. Maybe one more lane will solve it. All the commuters reminded that there is no bottom, there is just a hole. With a new hotel built on the edge, built of plywood and tax breaks. Look, I grew up seeing Tucson as the big city, riding the 2-lane roller coaster of Highway 90 in the back seat of a ranchero or an Accord. So here is a postcard in grayscale. Here is a tour of the invisible. Here is what I am seeing when you don't see me. I am praying in the dust of a bulldozed convent. No. A village. No. A landfill. No. I am out there where this state never taught me how to pray nor to mourn, where the state couldn't place so much as a plaque, where I guess the best that could be done was an outline of stone. So here is a poem for a historical marker, where I was born and fell white into history, lost to lost, ya sabes, born on the edge of a mine named the Total Wreck. Hey, and eventually, remember the wreck? The wreck was this bar in an old loading dock off of 4th Avenue that then itself was wrecked in order to build more luxury for private equity to own and rats to infest. I think I can see it from here. It's so fucking tall. In Tucson, a skyline, a whole skyline of skyscrapers never built. But look, maybe under the asphalt, they'll find another graveyard and then have to hand wring another decade over what happens when the surface is scratched and the past is found right here. Still a future. Haunted progress, halted by all the archaeology they do not know how to do. In Dunbar Spring, you can't so much as sink a garden bed without chancing a femur, and that's how we were all taught to live. So how about it? Well, here's a map to get lost well. Here's a historic building preserved by constructing market rate sheetrock within an inch of it. Here is a bunch of history that I ran into when I ran from it. Tucson is not a dry place. Tucson is a dried place. Viejo is not a quiet neighborhood. Viejo is a silenced barrio. This place is not the border. A border was inflicted upon this place, and development is the name of how we look away from what is. I wake up to the daily news, our daily bread, news dread. How much space to let into the poem? I, wonderful ephemeron, stilled in the work make, dusk troubled and dawn free. Yes, you heard that right. There is no wrong way to hear it. You are getting it. Is the poem justified? Our lives built of ephemera and waking. Look, I have a whole encyclopedia of poetry and poetics, an ampersand the size of my fist, and this is the way that I'm speaking to you. Yes, you. You are here too, in the making of the thing. Dear you, dear audience, dear whoever the blessed hell you are. Sometimes you're less with me, but tonight you are, which is how stage comes into poem and not poem only into stage. What I mean to say is community into my always lonely. All these tiresome dichotomies, image or words, Ingles or Espanol, edge, photograph, flip, invert, horizontal, arrange. The making of the work is the work that I am making. Struggle makes us human, throwing coins for the sun to rise. Games of chance, waking. All paths diffuse to meander, so wander with me. I need you in this time of loss. Crossroads tangled, lost to lost. Ya sabes, así se hacen los puentes. Juntos pues, you, the other side that I cross to. Gesture into movement, a dawn whisper into street chant. Dear Logan, you may remember me. Dearest Logan, you may remember me writing you previously regarding my company.
which has been buying homes in the Tucson area since 2001. I understand you might not have a home to sell, but in case you do, I want to remind you of how we may help you. We do not wish to list your property. We want to buy it. We are able to pay cash, settle without contingencies, close as quickly as you would like. We will make the sale of your home as easy as we can. We buy property as is, which means you don't have to worry about repairs, updates, removing unwanted items, or even cleaning. We coordinate closing and take care of all the paperwork. If you feel that our services may be of help to you, please feel free to call me. Ready? 520-447-3126. I am happy to discuss details with you and provide you with a free evaluation
of your property. The only thing I can do now is then is right. Challenge usually begins with a mood. I remember that I saw a nun running down the street, and I remember thinking that is a bad omen. But that was before I knew that the reading of omens belongs to the craft of augury. Originally a practice from ancient Rome, reading the flights of birds, aves. When the individual, known as the augur, interpreted these signs, it was referred to as taking the auspices. Augur and auspices are from the Latin auspicium and auspex, literally one who looks at birds. Depending upon the birds, the auspiciouses from the gods could be favorable or unfavorable, auspicious or inauspicious. Sometimes bribed or politically motivated augurs could fabricate unfavorable auspices in order to delay certain state functions, such as elections. You can't just oppose the proposed. You have to propose the opposed. You can't just oppose the proposed. You have to oppose the. You have to propose the opposed. No, you can't just oppose the proposed. You must also propose the opposed. You can't oppose the proposed. You also must propose the opposed. You can't just oppose the proposed. You also have to propose the opposed. You can't just oppose the proposed. You have to also propose the opposed. You have to propose the opposed. You can't just oppose the proposed. You have to propose the opposed. You can't just no. You can't just no. You can't no. No. You can't just oppose. No. You can't. You have to propose. No. You can't just no. 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 Propose. No. No. Propose. No. No. No dumping. No assessing. No flipping. No open house. No mine. No,
No camping.
no,
Park closes at dark.
no ending history here. No guilt as motivation. No peopleless place. No ruin. No historical document. No glorifying. No headline. No map.app. No forgetting. No nostalgia. No blinking, looking the other way. No separating art from life. No calling the wrong name. No unchanging correct name. No,
We want to buy it.
no,
Original 1874 Tucson town site.
no,
No skateboarding.
no voicing for the voiceless. No street closed ahead. No underpassing. No over asking price. No inside saguaros. No outside the frame. No scripting. No speculating. No zestimating. No be realistic. No tuning out the chicharras. No more road widening. No circling back. No tongue biting. No gigs for free. No land scraping. No lording lands. No modern parking lots. No prohibitions. No didactic poetry. No bottomless profit. No El Dorado. Nowhere. Look around. There is no El Dorado. Nowhere. There is no El Dorado. Nowhere. There is no El Dorado. Nowhere. There is nowhere. Nowhere. No here. Nowhere. No El Dorado. Nowhere. There is no here. There is nowhere. There is no El Dorado. Nowhere. Stop looking. There is no here. There is no where. There is no El Dorado. Nowhere. No. No here. No there. No here, no nowhere. There is no nowhere. There is no where there is no. 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 There is. And I wake up thinking of Gaza. I asleep thinking of Gaza. What does war think about poetry? War doesn't think. So every time a US taxpayer argues for the importance of a harsh reprisal, a child loses their life. This is the world we live in, they say. This is the best we could do, they say. Worse than was done to us, and a child is killed. One of my neighbors hangs a watermelon above her front door. Another neighbor, their direct deposit slip from the bomb factory. People in this city are getting rich off this. People with names, and a child is killed. It's an arid empire, a block of strangers pondering tax brackets. Our communication monetized, monopolies riding range engagement, and a child wakes up, finds me writing, climbs onto my lap to tell me her dreams. I could say any number of incendiary phrases. I could lay down in the middle of the freeway. I could light myself on fire rather than write beautiful, segregated poems where war is not allowed to enter, so reality finds somewhere else to live, redlined by an artist saying, "There's nothing really I could do that would change anything, so I just stay out of it," which is the surest way to stay in it, and a child is killed. The greatest crimes have always hidden behind religion or its secular cousin, nationalism. Fuck this nation state that requires of me so much ignoring, an allegiance that keeps me ever busy moving text from one box to the and next and back again. I am dulled by what is. I am severed from my soul, and of all the violence, my soul injury is still the least. it's time to take the kids to school. There's a dome half lit by sunlight. Architecture meant to invoke God is a sun catcher. One time Spring tells me, have you ever think about that we could live our whole lives without sunsets and life would still be so lush? But on top of everything else, we also get sunsets. Aunt Beast says, we don't know what things look like, we only know what things are like. The unknowable, hinted at by sun, all of us heliocentric. The kids were in the arroyo, riding a pallet down the steep side. Real desert kid activities. Sledding, they called it. Dust, a sun catcher. Push, 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 push before gravity takes over. How kids gravitate towards each other. In allegiance before suspicion. Play invented again and again in the face of task. Have you felt the pull of the moon? Even on the desert where water-filled cacti swell and lean, tracking the rock across the sky and the month. Flowers open, precarious as orbit, a moon of two sides, sphere into binary, into quarters, last night illumined nonetheless. I risk our lives just to arrive. Pedal, 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 pedal versus all these cars. Drivers, every single one staring at their lap or their palm. These cars blast and glint through sun catcher of cement. Textual light, celestial infiltrating the brutalist. There will be a time when all that remains is the essential relationship, long after maintenance is memory and function is countered with for what and for whom and for why though. Then this will become the infrastructure for my dreams to land another freeway. Long after the freeway, every last one of them has been dynamited for the sake of silence. Whole life will slow and therefore lengthen. Time will wrinkle. A story opening at dawn. I am daily in this light. Its abundance in auspicion, burning blue, all movement casting a shadow, ink on a page, all fleeting feigns permanence, draws lines of shadows. I find myself less capable of ignoring the consequences of my comfort. For whom the AC? For whom the shade? Angel and I will remove every fucking polar pop from the arroyo, and some styrofoam executive will still make $1 million this year. I long to do more than tidy around the edges. This is the light speaking. It burns and will return my call in rhythm with the moon. The water for what? The water for whom? The dreamer is the essential worker, the sun catcher. The boss is the crisis maker, the categorical quarter pusher. And the kids, laughing, will pull it all down. But is this poem to be trusted? A map, a photograph, a book. I have lived my whole life in this destruction, the destroying impulse. It's hard to see clearly or out, as if abundance were to be squandered at the earliest opportunity. The more fleeting the fortune, the more proprio. In a dream, I write an entire book of one phrase. It didn't have to be this way. It won't have to be this way. And I am sent to the Arizona State Legislature to throw out every last scaremonger. I say, go back to where you came from, to every white politician from Cochise County. Especially myself. To do it, I use a blank page. I write down the dream before dawn, and then I set the hoses to whispering. Slow melodies at the drip lines of ironwood children, when suddenly Irma, vecina querida, passes by. She's walking her dogs. She tells me it's nice to walk now that the weather has changed. She wishes me a good week, and I wish her the same. I thank her for the sopa de calabacitas she gifted me recently. I learned from her that generosity is one cure for loneliness. A gift gives itself to the gifter and the receiver. So here's a spell book to take home with you. Here's what I've been researching, what it takes to become more human. I, one morning, write, a poet should pledge few allegiances. A poem should pledge no allegiances. The poem pledges allegiance to the unseen, but what then of Irma, right? Should she only walk the right of way outside the property line of the poem, the compacted earth where a sidewalk should be? I am speaking to you as clearly as I can. I wish this world wasn't the way that it is, and I believe it does not have to be. This morning I write, every poem is an invitation in, whispering, the water is here. Grow your roots towards and deeper. Curb cut every curb for a poem that knows the names of its neighbors and finds reasons to text them regularly. Small generosities. So here's a plant on your porch. I'm feeling lonely in this city of a million. Give it morning sun and afternoon shade. When you water, you should do it slowly and deeply at the drip lines, and please use a timer, and maybe every other day for the first week. And you should notice and read it again and again and notice how the light has changed, or if distrust is the destroyer. I pulled a shopping cart from the riverbed sand, and guess what? It was filled with the names of birds. It was a good sign. Who said what? The thing about you pull on one star of the constellation and you find it connected to the whole universe? It was me. Misremembering Nour. I pulled a tire out of Arroyo Chico and I found it filled with the paths less taken. Behind Arroyo Chico, behind Kroger Lane, I beat the living sand out of it, only to find a message in a plastic bottle. It was a print of a screenshot of an ILZO listing. Just kidding. It was a print of a screenshot of a story, of a tweet, of a meme that said, this is what happens when you confuse your property value for your self-worth, your identity for your zestimate. And I was one man at the bottom of a dry well, trying to figure out what was trash and what was treasure to another man. I was spending my Saturday morning reassembling mesquite shadows, when if I were reasonable, I would still be sleeping, feeling guilty in my dreams. Instead, in Julian Wash on Earth Day, I found a Sonoran snowflake of discarded needles. I touched it to my tongue and I felt myself melt. Psych. I touched a polar pop and fell to dust. The cholla was in cueros, and the desperation was the audio. A volunteer said, "Fuck, I was just trying to be an environmentalist," but there was a second chance. Another polar pop. I touched that one and the ice caps melted. A third polar pop and the ice broke on the Santa Cruz in February. The poppies went to seed immediately. Every day was a new record. What do I know of time? I am only human. A Palo Verde, a suitcase with a Palo Verde growing right through it. There was a Bible with every page ripped out, except for the page that says the rich can go to hell. It was wild that day that I found out that phrase hydroelectric, the phrase, it was wild that day. It was wild when I found out the phrase carbon footprint was invented by a poet working for a corporation. It was a poem to deny culpability. It took me and every single one of my neighbors to dig out an entire billboard that said, "If this litter makes you mad, maybe you should house all the people." And when we pulled the last trash bag up the bank, a coyote laughed. Not with me, but at me, because I had used the word unsightly. Anyway, here's some math problems I never solved. If we plant 1 million trees and then cut down the trees that humans are using for shelter, how long until the CAP runs out for good? And importantly, if we pick up all of the litter on the old dump, how many mornings times how many hands will it take to spell the call of Pyroclasts? First light comes through the window. A sign past sigil, signifying more than I swallow without. It is mine to be human, to pull the hose towards ironwood, a life that is every yesterday, every tomorrow, this small, luminous codex, to all the to-do lists, generating energy, organizing identity. It is simple to turn towards SUNN, to write without. I listless easy. I write because it is a pleasure. First light on the wall, empty sign, deciding to be human. With the hands to the drip lines, children before sunrise, the creation of more life, a foundation, a cathedral, index of light, filtering through the leaves, unfurled from worry, from fear, enough gesture away from market value. Deciding, but eventually I breathe, the physical act of writing in my hands. The monogram of first light on wall, signifying more than empty sign. I swallow without deciding. It is mine to be human. Human, the one with the hands, to pull the hose to the drip lines before sunrise, towards ironwood children, a life that is the creation of more life. Every yesterday, a foundation. Every tomorrow, a cathedral. This small index of light, luminous codex, filtering through leaves of all the to-do lists, unfurled, generating energy from worry, identity from fear. It is simple enough gesture to walk, to turn away from market value, to write without deciding. I listless, so damn easy, but eventually I breathe. I write because the act of writing, it's a pleasure in my hands.